With Meridian K Consulting, and I am here to talk about a topic that I think is near and dear to many of you who are out here. It is about friendships. I've been doing a series for my clients, and they encourage me to move this platform rather than turning it into a virtual workshop. They encourage me to make it available for them on demand. And so you are beneficiaries of this. I've been doing a series since the first of the year called All About Love, and there's a workbook if you are interested in that you can message me. Information will be included in the chat. And included in the series are monthly workshop workbooks and handouts. And so, like every single month, workbook and handouts are included here. And the topic for this conversation is around friendship. Friendships are super important to our mental health and well being. There is a common quote that the best cure for anxiety and depression is our friends and social connections and support. And of course, that doesn't fully include the depth and breadth of our needs around anxiety and depression. It is a good start having good outlets, people that you can give and receive from, key to our overall well being. So I want to start this conversation off, though, with a quote from Bell Hooks. And that quote says that love is an act of will, namely both an intention and an action. And this idea is that love requires practice. Love is a verb, and we get a chance to practice it in the context of friendships. Friendship is not just a feeling, but it's a set of practices that we can learn and practice and refine over time. And so, before we get into the weeds around how we improve our friendships, let's reflect on what is a good friend. So, start imagining what a good friend is. I'm imagining that if you are thinking about a good friend is predictable because they are safe, they are honest, which means that they care about what they're telling you, they are truth tellers. And in good friendships, is mutual respect. So they respect your boundaries, they respect your time, they respect your autonomy. They don't make you feel guilty for having needs that are not necessarily aligned with theirs. So they are like, you be your best self, and I will be my best self. Good friends also understand that they're not all the same. Friends play different roles in our lives at different times. There are some times that we need good people to hang out with, so we could have our social connections and support. But there are other times where we need confidants and intimates and people that we share with. And we could also have friends that are mentors or help people who help us see new possibilities and take us to new environments and support. So, no two people will serve the same function. No friend can serve every single dimension of your life. It's okay that you could have a friend that you really love hanging out with, but you don't tell them all your business because they may not be the best confidant. Maybe it's just because they're not good listeners. We still would expect the people that who are in your intimate circle to be predictable, reliable, safe, and trustworthy, but not everybody can serve every function. So it might be nice as part of one of the activities in the workbook for you to evaluate what are the qualities that make a good friend, and to evaluate who in your circle meets those qualities and qualifications. And if you look at that list and you think about what a good friend is, and they are maybe the friendship circle is lacking, maybe like it's a time to reevaluate your circle. And sometimes, and I know in my work with my clients, one of the areas that tends to be like a problematic area is this area around reciprocity. Reciprocity is the give and take of friendships. So many times people will find that their friendships become out of balance. Maybe they're always the strong one in their friendship group. And then over time, they start to feel that lack of reciprocity in their relationship. I have coached many people through a season where they were tempted to cut off friendships because those friendships lacked reciprocity. And one of the things that I found is that sometimes they haven't tested the ability. So maybe they haven't made requests, maybe they haven't been vulnerable, maybe they haven't made specific requests. And sometimes, right, there's just an assumption that someone will get what they need. And so, if your friendships are out of balance, this might be the time to think about those small, minor steps that you could take where you make requests and you set a boundary, sort of setting the stage for a request for reciprocity. So, a small micro vulnerability step might be asking someone for something. So, if a day is stressful, imagine taking time and saying, "Hey, friend, on days that are stressful, could you check in with me? So, if I send you an SOS, can you ask me how my day was on the next day? Can you make sure that I'm good? Can you not leave me hanging?" I know it sounds small, but many times people don't know how to support you because you haven't made those small, and it can seem minor, but really significant requests around kind of your needs. And if a friend cannot consistently meet your requests where you can't be vulnerable with, that is good data and information, and it might be time to again reevaluate their role in your life. Another example before I move on around a request that you can make is sometimes, like it, particularly if you're in person and together and you're really feeling big feelings, rather than have a friend hype you up and like make you more aggravated and upset and sort of feed into that energy, they could sort of learn how to co regulate with you. So maybe they could say, "Hey, can we take a minute and breathe here? Can we slow down? Can we like make sure that we attend to what you need? What might that feeling might be about?" And I know that might seem like therapy speak, but co-regulation ideally happens pretty naturally in your friendships, and someone who has the skill or the patience to be with you when you have big feelings could be like life changing. So see friendships as the place that you practice new skills, that you step into new ground, where particularly if you've experienced trauma or like complex trauma, friendships are the playing ground for expanded capacity. It is the place where you can blossom and grow and make mistakes and repair. In a friendship, a healthy friendship, it is where we practice sort of where I can say, "I goofed," or "I made a mistake," or "I hurt your feelings," and you can listen and you can respond, and people can also offer that kind of feedback to you and tell you where you've overstepped, how you've made them feel, and that you can stay in relationship with each other. Healthy friendships, give and take, receive, rupture, and repair happen in great friendships. Now, hypothetically, maybe you are someone who doesn't have friends. This conversation says, I've looked for reciprocity, or maybe I just got really focused on work or my relationship, and I lost sight of the need for friends. So you might want to have some practical tools to repair friendships. So, first, I want you to evaluate your circle. Sometimes people are in the periphery. So, Maybe they're acquaintances or people that you share community with or that you are allied with that could be maybe moved into the friendship circle. So think about your circles of support, maybe sort of draw it out on a map and think about who is in your life. And maybe there's someone that you've met with casually, maybe someone in the group that you've been hanging out with that you've been curious about to learn more. Maybe this is the place that you start, that you identify someone and maybe you take a micro step where you reach out to them and say, hey, would you be interested in having coffee or having a conversation or going for a walk? You start those small, minor steps towards sort of building them, um, seeing if they could be trustworthy, honest, predictable, and moved into your inner circle. One step, start, I always say, start this process at home. And if that doesn't work, you don't have anybody in your circle, or maybe you don't have circles, the next step is to think about places and spaces that you enjoy, that you hang out to, or could be interested in, where people who could be in your circle might be. And then reach out to at least three places. Like, think about where could your circle be, identify at least three places, and then maybe get involved. So, volunteer, join a working group, join a book club. Maybe there are things that are online or in person that you could affiliate or find, and start there. And when you start there, you might want to think about two small micro invites. So if you're there and you attend and or involved, uh, over time, you're going to find that you're meeting a couple of people. And as you sort of navigate social spaces, and for some of us, it's more challenging, but as you navigate social spaces, maybe you'll see one person that you go, hey, would you like to have coffee with? Or I really enjoyed our conversation or what you said about X, Y, and Z. Would you be interested in meeting for a short walk? Like dating, you want to see this process unfold a little bit at a time. So that first week might be just an introduction and a small reach out. There might then be a micro invite to spend time with someone, to meet someone, or to have an additional conversation. Generally, that first micro invite is small, time bound, not too overextended. And then you want to think about perhaps sharing in a second or third meeting something small, something personal in conversation, nothing too overwhelming or intimate, but something that allows you to see, can the person handle it? Are they trustworthy? Are they honest? Again, low stakes, nothing too overwhelming or too intimate, something that you're comfortable sharing so that if they happen to be not trustworthy, you're okay with it sort of being out there in the universe. It is a great opportunity to practice new skills and then, continue to build and follow up. The follow up is important. I know people love the initiating and then sort of time happens, work happens, life happens, and they lose the momentum to build. And it's okay if you initiate in the beginning, if you're the person cultivating the friendship. Ideally, over time, there will be reciprocity and you won't be always the person initiating. Trust the process. Last but not least, this process of reevaluating your friendships, thinking about your friendships, finding new friends can be stressful to the nervous system. Remember, it's stressful just because it's new. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing or that you shouldn't do it. Setting boundaries can be really unfamiliar. Asking for what you want and need can be challenging or feel emotionally challenging. So, breathe, ground, hand massage, anything that you can do to keep yourself calm and focused. And Know that this could be work that you bring up in therapy. And if you're not in therapy, maybe you reach out and find and engage with a therapist or a coach who can help you with these skills because they are so necessary and you deserve them. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments or message me and tell me what you took from this conversation about friendships. I think it is so important that individuals broaden and deepen their friendships. Know that if you're struggling in this area, you are common. There are books written about it, there's research written about it. It is a very challenging time now that people move and change jobs, and it's just a different world. If you are fortunate to have carried friends all the way from childhood and you are now reevaluating them, that's also common. And if you are rebuilding your friendship network, that's common too. I want to close with a quote that says, another bell hooks quote that says, to know love, we have to learn how to give it. So practice giving small acts of attention, honest words, and consistent follow through, and you will grow the relationships that you want. Again, there is information in the chat about the workbook and the handbook, and you can follow me at Meridian K Consulting, or you can message me and the contact information below. Be well.